Crushing on my gym buddy went from glances to secrets, but he's taken. You remind me of someone, I said, and to my shock he replied, I want to be friends with you. Yet he's hiding a girlfriend. Can I unravel this complicated web? This is going to be a long and detailed story, so only read if you have the time. Almost 2 months ago, I noticed this guy at the gym for the first time, and I am not going to lie, I was stunned by his beauty. He was exactly my type, just beautiful and composed. I thought to myself, this boy is going to be mine no matter what. I observed that he did not really engage with anyone, was not very talkative with others, and was just minding his own business, which made him 10 times more attractive in my eyes since I enjoy a challenge with people who are not easily accessible and friendly with everyone. Personally, I am very picky and rarely develop crushes. It happens so infrequently. Since I started going to the gym, I have gained quite a bit of confidence, so I began thinking of ways to approach him. I could also tell he was sneaking a few glances at me, which definitely helped to build my courage. Long story short, I approached him and said, sorry for looking at you for so long, you just remind me of someone and I can't quite figure out who it is. To be completely honest, this wasn't entirely insincere. He actually does remind me of someone from my past that I loved dearly. After all, I do have a type. I immediately noticed he was very smiley, and from that point onward he drove the conversation, asking me a lot of questions about myself. He seemed genuinely engaged and curious about anything I would say, which surprised me, considering he initially appeared to be rather aloof. During our first conversation, I found out that he only comes to my gym on weekends because he goes to school in a different city. So he is away from Monday to Friday, but returns to our town religiously every week to stay at his parents' house. Our first interaction was a bit awkward initially, but sweet overall, and probably lasted about 15 minutes. I later discovered that one of my friends, whom I'll call Mimi, was his gym buddy, and they often came to the gym together. A week passed and Saturday arrived. I was expecting to see him again and indeed did, but for some reason that day I was quite annoyed at the world, not feeling friendly at all. I did not acknowledge him or even glance in his direction. He also did not try to talk to me, and nothing interesting happened. Another week went by, and this time everything was fine. We greeted each other, made some small talk, and then resumed our workouts. At some point, we ended up talking again. I don't really remember who approached whom. He was really sweet and seemed interested in me. I assumed this because he asked about various details of my life, even unimportant things. The eye contact was intense, and I appreciated that he would lean in closer so I could hear him better. At this point, he informed me that he had already seen me around during the summer at a festival. He mentioned he remembered that I had a different hair color and was hanging out with a mutual friend of ours. I just couldn't believe I had never noticed his existence before. Our second conversation lasted longer than the first, and he also initiated physical contact, which felt like progress to me. Another week went by as usual. He was there and I was there. Seeing him every week at the gym became a habit, almost expected. I put in a bit more effort into my outfits and hair on days I knew I would see him. Naturally, we began talking and conversation flowed as usual, eventually reaching a point where we would spend an hour talking without interruptions. That was my first goal, to make him closer to me and gradually increase our talking time. I am not in a rush and believe that if things are meant to be, they will be. Initially, I was captivated by his looks, but over time I discovered we actually have a lot in common and think similarly. Here comes the unfortunate part. Almost a month passed without him asking for my social media or suggesting we meet outside of the gym, so I began to grow suspicious. Side note, the guy who works at our gym is a former classmate of mine from high school, and I have known him for years. We got along well enough for me to ask him to send a follow request to my crush on Instagram, which he did. It turns out my crush indeed has a girlfriend, which he never mentioned during the numerous conversations we had until that point. My former classmate sent me a screenshot of their picture together. I was quite disappointed and told myself I would keep my distance from now on and try to ignore him as much as possible. The next week came and I prayed not to see him this time. I even told myself that if I did, I wouldn't acknowledge his presence, but he just would not leave me alone. He came in and greeted me first thing as he entered the room, completely ignoring everyone else around us. He high-fived me and took my hand in his, our fingers interlaced, asking me all kinds of questions about my week. Mind you, this kind of physical contact or gesture was nothing new between us. I thought that maybe we could be friends since we got along so well and had mutual friends, and we had so many similarities. That same night, I decided to be friends with him despite having a significant crush on him. We ended up hanging out in a group, me, him, Mimi the mutual friend, and one of my girlfriends. It was basically the four of us for about 2 hours, then my girlfriend had to go home, so it was just the three of us. Long story short, the three of us hung out for a while, and during that time my crush found out I had a screenshot of him and his girlfriend on my phone. He is actually a bit too nosy and always stares at whatever I am doing on my phone. I was just looking for a picture in my gallery and kind of forgot I had the screenshot. At that moment I felt embarrassed and was unsure if I closed the app quickly enough. My mood was ruined, and all I wanted to do was go home and hide. I said I wanted to go home, so he suggested we drop Mimi off first, which ended up with just the two of us on Saturday night. However, all I could think about was the fact that he saw the screenshot on my phone. I was really surprised by his reaction. He was not mad or weirded out at all. He actually seemed flattered that I took the time to investigate him. He was just curious about how I found it. He even asked for my opinion about the picture, but I didn't really answer him since I couldn't understand what he meant. I am still confused about it to this day. Given his positive reaction, I asked him if he wanted to hang out a bit longer, offering to give him a ride in my new BMW X6 since I knew he was a fan of that brand. After that, he bluntly told me, "Just say you want to spend more time with me. There is no need to make excuses to do so. I would really like to talk to you too." Mind you, that night we spent a lot of time together, just the two of us from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m., talking about life and everything else. I honestly don't remember all the details because it was so much, but I do remember the important parts. Around 11 p.m., he said to me, "Look, Mimi said something about you fancying me. I don't really believe him, but as you know, I have a girlfriend. We have been together for a year. I love her, so I told him I wanted to be friends with you because I really like you as a person. I'm not the type to cheat, and I would never." I neither confirmed nor denied my feelings for him. The night continued, and we discussed many topics. He asked me about my ex-boyfriend, if I would ever go back to him, asked if I liked Mimi, and inquired about other guys. Basically what I look for in a man. New inside jokes were created, and we made several pinky promises to each other. At around 2 a.m., he informed me that he and his girlfriend had been having problems for several months, that they fought more often, and asked if he should break up with her. I simply told him to follow his heart, explaining that life sometimes introduces you to the right person at the wrong time, which was a bit of a low blow on my part. We talked a little longer, and he asked me to be honest. If you weren't in a relationship, would you look at me differently? Maybe even like me? I responded, since you are in a relationship, there is no room for such questions. I didn't provide him with a clear answer. This is just how I am. I tend to give vague responses to his countless questions just to avoid revealing too much about myself, which is not easy since we know so many details about each other. 2 weeks went by and we did not see each other during that time, which allowed me to focus on other things and clear my mind of him. I tried to think of him as just a friend, but I genuinely like him. Additionally, I would never confess this to him since he has a girlfriend. I don't want to be a homewrecker. Being friends is fine, and I do not want to cross that line. I am not even sure if the crush is reciprocated. Somehow the following Saturday he did not come to the gym, but we still hung out first with four of us, then it ended up just being the two of us. This time it was his idea. He told everyone he was really tired and wanted to go home, which created the opportunity for just the two of us to hang out. Throughout our time out for a solid 4 to 5 hours, he did not touch his phone, did not mention his girlfriend once, and shared personal things about his parents' childhood, etc. He asked me quite a few questions, nothing inappropriate but intimate. We exchanged subtle compliments frequently. He proceeded to ask me again if I was interested in someone, what my type looked like about my ex, and what I seek in a relationship. Then he described his type, mentioning he does not like blondes at all, especially those with dark brown eyes. Guess what? That is exactly what his girlfriend looks like. For context, I am a brunette with blue-green eyes. He kept asking if I like someone until I finally confessed that I do, but the situation is complicated and that he wouldn't understand. He insisted that the only reason he wanted to know was that he is genuinely curious. I am not even sure if he caught on to the fact that I was talking about him. Maybe he is just oblivious to the whole situation and genuinely believes I like this secret person. At the end of the night, I directly told him I wanted to communicate with him directly. He asked what I meant, and I told him I wanted his phone number. He seemed a bit unsure at first, but eventually gave it to me. Interestingly, he deleted the contact photo in front of me but saved my number under my actual name. Last week, one of my friends took my phone and called him against my will. Fortunately, I managed to grab my phone back from her and ended the call. 10 minutes later, he texted me asking if something had happened. I panicked and took a long time to reply. I thought of an excuse and then left him on read until the next day when I texted him asking if he wanted to come to the gym to work out. He agreed. What I really appreciate is that he doesn't care if the gym is full. He will ignore everyone else and just talk to me. I have never seen him interact with or even greet the other girls who go there, and he questions me about any interaction I have with other guys. I don't know if it's jealousy or just curiosity. After the workout, we ended up chatting outside of the gym for another hour. He joked about going through my phone and then let me go through his. He even ended up being late for something else. Later that day, I texted him again with an excuse, asking for a specific place's phone number, something I could have easily Googled. He replied after a few hours and I got petty, leaving him on read. In summary, I genuinely do not understand if he means it when he says we are friends or if he likes me back. I need advice either way. What should I do? Also, I apologize for my English as it is not my native language. Story 2. Family drama unfolds. My brother's birthday surprise for my daughter turns into emotional warfare. It's my way or no way, he raged while my mother echoed frustration. Now I'm left questioning our family patterns. How do I break free without severing ties? I'm a 32-year-old father navigating a challenging situation with my brother and mother following a conflict regarding an unplanned birthday gathering for my daughter. Their response to a simple scheduling issue revealed deeper family dynamics involving control, emotional immaturity, and conditional affection. I am seeking advice on how to establish boundaries without repeating toxic cycles or becoming completely estranged. I am married and the father of a 6-year-old girl, let's call her Kay. Last weekend, I encountered a complicated situation involving my brother 40 and my mother, which left me quite shaken and prompted me to reflect on certain family patterns. On Friday morning, my brother messaged me expressing his desire to organize a small celebration for Kay on Saturday afternoon. It was intended to be a simple cake gathering, just us. The idea arose because I was already planning to drop Kay off at his house for a few hours while my wife and I attended a seminar. I immediately agreed without hesitation. That evening when I returned home, I mentioned it to my wife, who reminded me that there was already a birthday party for one of Kay's classmates scheduled at the same time. That was when I realized there was a scheduling conflict. On Saturday morning, I messaged my brother and suggested moving the celebration to Sunday, which seemed reasonable to me. His response was cold and somewhat strange, something along the lines of "then we will just sing here ourselves." I found that response uncomfortable, but I did not want to provoke a conflict, so I simply replied, "Okay." Later, my mother called me. She was also intending to attend the gathering, and when I explained the situation, she reacted poorly, made some aggressive remarks, and decided not to attend either. During the call, I mentioned something significant. If the intent was to do something for Kay, then the most sensible approach would be to consider what would be best for her. Honestly, she would not feel comfortable having a birthday celebration without her parents present. This brings me to the central issue. Both my mother and my brother possess a trait that has always been difficult to manage. It is something I have inherited as well, but I have been making an effort to unlearn it. It is the mindset of if it is not my way, then it will not happen at all. Additionally, my brother's family tends to feel uncomfortable socializing outside of their immediate circle. That is a clear pattern, and I have always respected it. For instance, there was a time when my wife's brother mentioned he would stop by my brother's house while we were visiting with Kay, and my brother became visibly uncomfortable. Because of that history, when my wife suggested bringing her brother to the celebration, I anticipated that it would not be well received. This led to some tension between us, and she eventually decided not to visit my brother's house. As a result, Kay went alone, and she would likely feel confused about her mother's absence. Given all of that, I chose to send my brother a voice message in a respectful tone, explaining the following: that I did not appreciate the tone of his message, that I forgot about the school friends party due to work on Friday and only remembered it late that night, that I understood if he or my sister-in-law were frustrated, but it was never our intention to disregard their effort, that we would be happy to host them on Sunday at our home for the celebration, even if only for a short while. At no point was I informed that Sunday would not be possible. I also calmly explained that it would be beneficial for us to reflect on this my way or no way pattern. I even mentioned other instances where this behavior had negatively impacted our relationship. It was not intended as a reprimand, but rather an effort at dialogue. What I received in response were 3 voice messages. I listened to the first, which consisted solely of insults and profanity. I immediately deleted the entire chat and did not listen to the others. Since then, I have had no contact with him or my sister-in-law. For context, due to financial constraints, my wife and I had already agreed with Kay that her main celebration would take place at school, complete with a decorated cake and everything she desired. That was her choice. On Sunday, we spent the entire day with her, participating in activities she enjoys. No one from my brother's family reached out to wish her a happy birthday, not even my mother. The impression I was left with is that this surprise celebration was not truly about my daughter's happiness. It seemed more focused on how they wished to be perceived, perhaps especially since they are in a more comfortable financial position. I am deeply disappointed. I refuse to reestablish contact with my brother until he acknowledges that his behavior was unacceptable. Regarding my mother, I feel conflicted. She appears trapped in ideas inherited from our grandmother, such as the belief that whoever has the money is in control and those who require assistance should comply. That dynamic has been detrimental to our relationship. If anyone has experienced similar situations or has advice on how to address these types of family dynamics, particularly without repeating the cycle or becoming completely isolated, I would greatly appreciate your insights. Summary: my brother planned a surprise birthday gathering for my 6-year-old daughter without consulting us beforehand. When I informed him that she already had plans and suggested rescheduling, he responded with hostility.